Just make sure you make nobody jealous on the reservation. Oh. Diné. Welcome back to another episode of Shanclen Shadow Productions. Now, before we get started, if you're enjoying this content here at Shanclen Shadow Productions, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're new here, welcome. Sit down. Get ready to be scared. Oh. Witchcraft, jealousy, hatred, and cheapness. On today's subject here at Shanclen Shadow Productions, we're going to be talking about witchcraft on the Navajo reservation. Now, people like to kind of put skinwalkers and witchcraft in the same thing. No, talking about witchcraft by itself this time. Now, witchcraft by itself is something that's good. It's the same, like, skinwalkers know how to do witchcraft and stuff, and I would have to say maybe skinwalkers are a little bit more advanced than actual, like, witchcraft and witches on the reservation and stuff. And now, when I say witches and everything, I know a lot of people probably think, you know, pointy hats and all this other stuff too. No. That's just kind of like the English term that I'm going to be using for this segment here for you all to understand. But when it comes to witchcraft on the reservation, it's always been there. It's always been something that has run rampant on the reservation and is still used today, unfortunately. It can be used for, you know, going after somebody, witching them, getting them sick, trying to kill them, all these certain different things for cheap reasons. That's why I say it's kind of cheap, because most of the time, whenever it comes down to somebody wanting to witch somebody, it comes down to jealousy, it comes down to a lot of hate. And kind of going back to my last video of people, if you haven't seen that, go check that one out. But that one, when I was talking about people growing up in toxic homes, people growing up with a mindset to where negativity like that kind of grows and festers inside of the mind. And when it comes to that, it grows so much that you get really petty. In a lot of these cases and ceremonies that I've gone to on the reservations, you know, whenever we do like a ceremony, we try to figure out like what's going on with somebody, because sometimes it could be as little as somebody having bad luck. You know, certain occasions of events that happen in their life start to boil down, and, you know, it starts to become noticeable, because sometimes in life you're gonna have bumps in the road. But if it becomes an everyday thing more than once during the day, car breaks down, flat tire, things fall on you, you burn yourself, all sorts of different things, almost running into an animal on the road multiple times, you know, like just thinking off the top of my head of certain cases that we had in the past. It comes down to that. And even sometimes I've mentioned on a couple of my other videos that I've done about during our ceremony stories, somebody like getting jealous of someone getting a promotion. So I wanted to dive deeper into the lore and the history of witches on the Navajo Nation. Now, can they be both male and female? Yes. A lot of times whenever it comes to witchcraft and the reservations, it does come down to a lot of jealousy and hatred. And how do they do it? How do these people go and witch you, get you sick, or try to kill you? You know, there's a lot of different ways. Whenever they try to witch or get somebody sick or anything, one of the first teachings I was always taught is yourself, items of yourself, of what you have, do not leave them out. Do not leave them, you know, leave your car unlocked, or, you know, even like leaving a hair tie somewhere, losing your jewelry, leaving stuff out for it to be stolen. That has your energy on it, that has your essence on it. It even comes down to hair. You know, somebody, I'm pretty sure all of you that have long hair out there, you brush out your hair, even people with short hair too. When you brush out your hair sometimes falls out. There's little pieces that come out. So if you're in a public place, like, you know, a public bath or a pool or something like that, always make sure to try not to leave your hair kind of dangling about, because for us in our culture, hair is an extension of our mind and our spirit. It holds our memories, it holds a lot of sacred teachings with it. And so that's why whenever somebody passes away, when you're in mourning, you cut your hair, because it's pretty much of a renewal to kind of honor that person. And so, especially when we go on missions, whenever we go on investigations as well, I always have my hair braided like this. I always have my hair either braided or in a bun. I never have it loose, because who knows that, like, there could be a dark demon there, and a dark spirit comes and they pluck some of my hair out, or they take some of it that fell on the ground, and come to find out later on that my mind and all these start having nightmares, start getting sick, because they gather these items that they have that is of you, and they put those, whether it could be talismans, or they could put those with bones, something that represents death. And they do their ceremony that tries to go ahead and try to bring that mishap upon you. Now, there's different types of ceremonies out there that you can do, and depending on the level of the evil person that's in this that you're interacting with, it can change. You know, if it's somebody who's kind of newer, somebody who isn't of, you know, I guess you could say that isn't 100% gifted, but they have evil intent. A lot of times when they do their ceremonies, they have to call upon an evil spirit. It's kind of the backwards way of how good Hatathlis kind of run their ceremonies. Lower level beginner Hatathlis have to sing songs to be able to call upon spirits to aid them in their certain ceremonies. But if you are higher level, then you can go ahead and just pretty much perform the ceremonies yourself. Now, when it comes to evil, it's the same thing, but instead of calling a good spirit, you're calling a bad spirit. And depending on the song that you sing, there's a certain type of spirit that you call upon, whether that be somebody like kind of like that one story that I told you about, of a ceremony story where they hired out a mercenary spirit to be able to go and actually kill and get rid of somebody. Now, when there's also other ones that kind of give you bad karma, sickness, you know, they don't want it to be kind of obvious of certain things. And it's pretty sad to see how much of that kind of goes around these days. Especially back, I'll tell you about this one time back in high school, on the reservations. I was on the basketball team, and I would always have to put ash on me before basketball games, eat some bitter herb, kind of bless myself to kind of make sure everything is kind of okay, and then I have a good, safe basketball game. Because when it comes to certain things like this, some of the other players, relatives, or family that you play against on the reservation could be evil, and they want to win. So this is what I'm talking about, is how petty it could be. They want to win so bad that they'll witch teammates on the other team, whether that be have them get an injury, have them miss a ball, all sorts of different things, just to make sure that their team wins at a kids game, high school game, college game, you know, elementary, city league. You know, it really does come down to that of level of pettiness, that you want to win so bad that, you know, you're willing to injure children like this. So I even remember one time there was during one of our basketball games that we had, there was a Hatathli medicine man that was there, straight up pointed out somebody evil in the crowd, and security came up and escorted that person out, all dressed, all look like me, but they're all dressed up in black, and then they had like some stuff inside of their jackets, like some crow feathers, and then some other, like a crystal and stuff in there, because they had them take it off and stuff. And he's just like, he's not doing anything. And then the Hatathli came up, like showed his jacket, and he saw that stuff in there. They're like, get out of here, and chased them out. But even to this day, you know, like it could come down to even your coworkers too. You know, you get a most recent promotion at your job, and you know they didn't want you there because you're at risk of being fired now, or they wanted to be the person that's in charge. So they'll kind of go together, all their little groupies of jealous, petty people, and then they'll go to an evil medicine man and pray against you that you lose your job by any means. You know, you could either, whether that be you lose your life, you get sick, so you miss so many more days. They mess with your mind to where you make a wrong decision that's bad for the company. Some stuff like that. You know, it's very, very unfortunate that it's kind of down to that right there. Now, there's people that could do it themselves. Like I said, there's different levels and tiers. There's the first ones are the ones that have to call upon a different spirit to help them out. Now, there are those ones that are a little bit more advanced that could do it themselves, and then but it won't be too devastating. And then there's ones that can literally like give you like a heart attack if they wanted to. But then there's also depends on you as a person. How much are you protected when it comes to these evil things? Because if you have kind of like how I mentioned in my previous video, if you know yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically, you already have a leg up on those ones that are pretty weak. If you add on ash, a bit of herb, or then like if you're out doing something, you're singing a protection song for yourself. You know, if you carry an arrowhead with you, these are just some of the protections that we have in our tribe. So whatever faith that you have, could be a cross, could be, you know, feathers, or, you know, what have you, incense, oils, all these other protections and faiths and religions, medallions that you have, you know, it really does give you a one-up on basic kind of witchery that happens in life. And kind of like if you guys remember that movie Drag Me to Hell, that one Masane, that grandma that was denied alone, I believe. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, but she ended up cursing that lady to go to hell because she lost her home, which is pretty crazy. But some things like that, it kind of really reminded me of the reservation of how it is. And even comes down to like me and personal stuff that I've seen and gone through ever since I've started this channel. You know, like whether that be people on the reservations kind of get jealous and they just want to spread hate. And it's just like, you don't even know me, bro. Why are you trying to spread hate on me? You know, then there's certain things that happen in my life that like, it's kind of funny that you would see attempts of certain things that would kind of happen. Like just a couple days ago, there was a rattlesnake, a baby rattlesnake. I wouldn't say baby, like a teenager maybe, probably around like this big. A rattlesnake was kind of going around and stuff, and I saw it, and then ended up chasing it away. And I was looking at it, and it was kind of coiled up right there, and I was just like, "Get out of here!" I kind of got after it. I didn't want to kill it because it was just kind of like a little messenger kind of thing, but also could, if it wanted to kind of do some real damage to me. So I just yelled at it. I was just like, "Get out of here," you know? And then he just kind of turned around and slivered off, and then I had a stick, and I was like kind of hitting it behind him. I didn't want to kill him, but I just chased him off. And certain things, like especially when the channel kind of first began, you know, there used to be a lot of mutties and coyotes that used to show up. If you guys were there during the live streams, you know, my dogs outside would start barking and stuff, and then there would be some shorts. You can check them out in the channel too, of mutties and kind of these things that would kind of come around and kind of bring warnings of people not liking what I'm doing. And that's pretty much exposing evil and exposing trying to help people in their spiritual journeys for protection and knowledge. And that's stuff that a lot of people don't want to be shared out there, because, you know, if fear is their biggest thing that they have, is their biggest weapon, and if you're not scared of them, you know, boot to the face, motherfucker. But it's it takes away a lot of their power that they have. And unless you're really, really powerful, that you don't need their fear or anything to be able to witch them, yeah, that's when you kind of got to call a Hatathli or medicine man to be able to get your life back in balance, get these certain things out. And even when I was a little kid too, before we started a lot of our journeys and our trainings and stuff, when I was really young, we used to go to medicinal people and stuff. And they used to tell us all these stories of people witching us and stuff. And we have these Hatathli's medicine people in our tribe that are, they said that they're suckers. And I remember one time I was witched, and I was a young boy, and he had like a wooden pipe that he put up. It was on my neck right here. Put that right there. And they say with their ceremony and their power, they're able to suck out evil things that are shot at you. And for people that don't really understand, it's kind of hard to explain, but when somebody witches you and shoots something at you, they can shoot bones in you. They can shoot like pottery and actual like body parts and all these other witchy stuff inside of your body. Now, when it comes to like this ceremony right here, this Hatathli, it's in a spiritual form inside of your body. So when he sucks it out, it becomes physical. And this one time, he sucked out a human finger out of me. And I was really young and I freaked the fuck out. And he sucked that out of me and then he spit it into the charcoal and then the finger like went psh. When it hit it, the finger went tsh, and then it curled up like that. And he was telling us that people were witching us and stuff. And it was over like jealous reasons, or like my family was doing good, family was doing this, you know, and then they came about and wanted to end us, to get rid of us. And so when it comes to stuff like that, that's why you always have to be ready and be careful when it comes to witchings and stuff like that. And the best way to combat it is positivity. Walking around with a good heart, a good mind, having a song playing in your head, being happy, being joyful, and just, you know, you get used to it at first. At first, it's kind of weird. At first, whenever you're trying to be okay and strong and know yourself and stuff, it takes a little practice, but after a little while, it becomes natural to where like you just kind of walk around. Like I mentioned in my last video, you kind of walk around with that shield and that bubble with you, to where normal stuff of the evil way doesn't really affect you in such a way. Now, am I saying that's going to work for everything? No, it's not. There are some things, like how I mentioned, if they are more powerful, they can go ahead and break through those defenses and fuck you up if they wanted to. So just be careful. And those are just some of the things that you kind of run into on the reservation. Now, a lot of questions is like, what do these people look like whenever you meet them in the reservations and stuff? They look like normal people, which is pretty crazy. They could be anybody, you know. It's like you walk around a flea market on the reservation and, you know, you say like you charge too much for say like your stuff you're selling, like your movies, your DVDs, or your pinions you're trying to sell. Somebody could get pissed off and try to witch you, you know. If you run a food stand and your fry bread came out a little bit doughy and undercooked, or it's a little bit cold, you know, somebody can witch you, you know. It's that petty and it's that sad. But I have noticed there has been a bit of a decline in people learning those ways. More so of it being people who have more so spiritual gifts, but they don't know it. And so when they have negative thoughts, when they have negative intentions for somebody, sometimes it manifests, and that's when it goes into a bad prayer for somebody. Sometimes it could be a little bit more powerful than most. And so that's why when the Diné and the spiritual people always say, be careful of your thoughts, be careful of things you say, because those are in a sense prayers that you are sending to somebody. You know, this tongue, the thing that we have out here, this thing, I remember in this one story I was told, is in the creation stories, your tongue was modeled after an arrowhead. Now, your tongue can be a protector, but it can also be a weapon. So you have to be careful of how you use your arrowhead. The words that you speak that come out of your mouth is very, very sacred. You know, we're the only beings, one of the only beings on this planet that can be able to speak, make songs, yell at people, say demeaning things, but also say beautiful things to be able to protect and do all these certain things. Now, how you choose to use your arrowhead is up to you. Also remember, there's a thing called karma that's out there, and karma is an actual spirit out there. So whenever you want, or you're ever feeling kind of weird, or kind of, you know, something is affecting you in such a way, remember that mirror technique. Remember that prayer I told you. You know, don't say, oh, so-and-so over here is witching me and doing this stuff. No, don't say that. Because those evil people and those evil things could be wearing a false mask right there. And you could be sending that prayer to somebody who's innocent. So what you do, whatever I'm feeling, sometimes I even do this, a lot of times I do this myself. Whenever I'm feeling weird, I said, this isn't me. I do not understand where this energy is coming from. My mindset, my thoughts are not of my own. So you recognize the energies that's within it, and you kind of put all that together, and you kind of put it into like a ball like this. Sometimes you have jish and stuff like that, spiritual items that you use to kind of get rid of it. What I do is pray it in the north. For us, we pray in the north. We say pa 4 times. Pa, 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 pa. There's a spirit to the north that takes that negative energy that way like that. That takes that stuff, and pretty much the northern spirit handles it. And in that prayer, I say, whoever sent this energy, send it back to whoever sent it. The spirits, Diné, and the creator will know who sent it, and they'll be able to send that energy back over there. So, as in a sense, karma coming back at you for doing dark things. So be careful of things you say. Be careful of things you think about, because you may not know how much spiritual power you have yourself. And so you could be doing real damage against somebody who is just having a bad day. And so just, remember your thoughts, mind your thoughts, mind your heart, mind your words, because this arrowhead of a tongue can be used to hurt people if it really needs to. So when it comes down to witches and jealousy and stuff like that on the reservations, sometimes there are sacrifices and everything that's dealt with it and all that. I will tell you this one story, which is pretty hilarious. During one ceremony, we were helping a patient that was being witched, but the people that were witching him were not using tactics that were of Navajo culture, I guess you can say, but they were Navajo, which was very interesting. They were using witching techniques from a different culture, and this culture happened to be from overseas. So I won't say how this works, but during this ceremony we found that out. And this is why kind of growing your spiritual awareness and making connections with people is important, because these witches were more so from Norse mythology and kind of going overseas that way, really old medicines like that. And they twisted it and used it in the bad way against us. And so when you make connections like that with spiritual people, even from across the seas, you can call upon those spirits and say, hey, we got some imposters over here that are using your religion, using your faith in the bad way. And they say, okay, we'll take care of it. And sure enough, not too long later, it was interesting, because that guy says, I feel great. I feel amazing. We got word from those people. They're like, we took care of them. And they weren't even doing it right. So this is one thing I want to be able to build that connection with everybody, learn different things, learn different ways of either combat or protection. Because sometimes when you deal with something that's outside of your region of where you are, to be able to go against curses like that, it's almost like a knot, and you almost have to untangle it, but there's a certain passcode to be able to learn how to undo it. And only with that faith and religion do you know the keys to be able to undo that knot. So that's where learning different cultures and faiths and religions is important, because when you do that, you'll deal with something that's not of your land, and you have to call upon help to be able to assist them, and certain things that's like that. So it's pretty interesting to be able to have those connections of people that know these certain things. And so that's where you always have to be careful, of if you're learning something else, be sure to do it from the original people that teach it, so you get the full picture, full stories, reasons why, songs and ceremonies of all of that, of different faiths and religions. That's why I never talk bad about other faiths and religions, because at the core of it, there are spiritual teachings of those certain things at the very, very deep core of it. And so they have their own spirits, and they have their warriors, and they have their darkness too as well, like everybody around the world. So building those relations, building those certain aspects in life is very, very good, very beneficial for you and them, because So, you know, there's indigenous people all over the world now from the US. You know, sometimes they could be witchy, so if they need help over there, you know, just like give us a call, you know, and certain things like that. We'll be able to assist them. And that's how you bring everybody together. That's how you bring the world, instead of dividing everybody. Respect other people's faith, respect other people's views on the world, and come together like that there are differences, and respect each other's space in this world that we have, respect each other's cultures in that way. So in that way, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up there for this story, just pretty much recapping on the whole thing. Yeah, there's still Navajo witches out there in the world, so just be careful, and just not with Navajo people. There's also witches from different tribes, different races and religions and faiths all across Turtle Island and the world, and even in the spiritual world too. So be careful out there, everybody, and just like I always said, just know yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically, and you'll have a one-up on a lot of these things here. So a couple of updates that I have for you on the channel. There's going to be a new episode dropping with this ring of how it was made, and a bracelet too from Kindale Billa. So if you guys out there in the world that's watching this right here, you would like some Diné Navajo jewelry, hit up Kevin Billa and Kindale Billa. They're brothers. So I made 2 videos, silversmiths. Go ahead and reach out to them if you guys want some jewelry, because they're my personal jewelry makers. So if you guys want some awesome badass silver handmade by some Navajos, reach out to them on Instagram or Facebook. And yeah, go follow me on Instagram at Clen_warrior_SSP, Clen Warrior SSP, for my daily shenanigans that I'm up to. And TikTok, Shanclen SP, for any creepy clips that you guys may have. If you guys have stories you'd like to submit on the channel, you guys can go ahead and reach out to me on Instagram, or send it through email at shanclenshadowproductions@gmail.com. So that ring video is going to be up on my second channel, Shanclen Shadow Lodge. So go subscribe. There's going to be awesome content coming. Go subscribe. Go subscribe right now. And like and share if you guys enjoy this content, and many blessings to you all. Hope you have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Hogone! My back! I'm so sore. I've been working out a lot. Getting ready for investigations in October. Yes, we're coming back. Let's get this episode edited and put up, because you're watching this on Saturday, the day it comes out. I'm still working on it a couple hours before, so here we go. Look on it. Ah! Sprite. Oh. I don't care who you are, Sprite always hits. It hits. Rings of power.